You are tuning into the Wild Folk Podcast. If you love learning and interweaving health, self-growth, and making magic, this is the show for you. Hillary is a certified clinical Ayurvedic practitioner with the eye of a fine artist, specializing in customizing herbs, nutrition, and habits that support your body's unique cyclical rhythms. Sterling is a PhD candidate in metaphysics and a lover of living life. She runs a personalized magical methods mentorship program for when you are ready to deepen into the magic that you are with one-on-one guidance. She also periodically offers personal divination counseling services, including astrology and tarot.
Taking your own magic pills that you make yourself out of whatever you want to make.
And even just acknowledging that in a situation of polarity, there is the option to not choose the two opposing sides, or one or either, or both. You can actually opt out of the whole divisive conversation. Right. That in and of itself will allow you to transcend the moment.
Like in spiritual teachings, it's like rising above duality and seeing them as like two poles of the same thing, and that you can just witness and exist outside of it. And you can literally apply that to anything.
And all the things. I keep wanting to snap my fingers like that beatnik thing, like, oh yeah, finger snaps. And then I realize that makes the microphone peak, and people that are listening don't know that I'm snapping my fingers. So I don't get like the cool credibility for making the gesture, and also it might be annoying for people that are trying to listen. So instead I'm gonna say the words finger snaps, and everyone listening, just imagine that's me like with this squinty-eyed look on my face like, yeah, cool, and you snapping my fingers like a jazz cat. Okay, that's what finger snaps means.
Yes.
So on that note, tell us a little bit about what led you to the realization that nobody should take anybody else's advice when it comes to their health. Are you to have anything to say about individualized healthcare approach?
That is an excellent question. I have spent many years, upwards of a decade or more, actually very much more.
More than a decade.
Trying to find the teaching that works for me. And in my quest of finding the teaching and trying all of the different lineages and ways and being like, well, this halfway works, but not this way. And like, you know, first following these spiritual paths and like yogic paths and trying to renounce the physical world and live in the spiritual realm, or follow a specific yogic path and then realizing it was created for young men to like contain their sexual energy and this is depleting me. Like all these different paths, trying them and feeling that they worked partially, and then realizing, but they don't work completely for me and they don't work all the time. And so then realizing that, especially being a woman, that we operate in like circular nature. And like we just talked about linear time versus circular time. Are you okay?
I just realized I've had my microphone turned off this entire time.
Really?
Have you been able to hear me?
Yeah.
I literally just flipped the switch on my microphone. I was like, I should turn my mic off while she's talking so that the dog snoring behind me or the duck in the basket don't like make weird noises while she's having this like really profound moment that everyone's gonna want to hear the details of. So I went to click my mic off and it's off. It's off and I turned it on. Does it make any difference? I mean, am I on the podcast at all? Are you hearing any difference now?
I don't hear any difference, and I've heard your audio the entire time.
Well, I'm going to stop holding this to my face then. Please continue.
Wow, our tech day has been quite awesome so far.
Mercury must be drinking Gatorade.
Oh man. Okay, so what were we saying?
Yoga is for young dudes from 2,000 years ago who don't want to come.
Yeah.
That's what I got from that, and it was a revelation.
Totally. But like all of these different things, they have like these incredible teachings, and yet they're what is it? They're not like a means to an end, or like maybe they are, but not for me. And it just felt like so confusing, like following all these things and being like, okay, but this isn't really it. And this isn't really fully working for me. And like trying being vegan for a very long time, trying being paleo, trying like keto, trying green juice, trying intermittent fasting, trying like a yogic sattvic diet. Every single time I tried those things for long periods of time, they never worked, and they always caused a ripple effect to some other issue for me. And finally, I was like, wow, I have been trying so many things that everyone says works, and like the pictures of people that it works for are very fancy. So why does it not work for me? And why do I feel like shit when I'm like in this health world, supposedly doing all of the things right, taking the right herbs, doing the right practices, drinking the right elixirs, meditating on the things, like, and just realizing like, oh fuck, actually I'm going to have this buffet and I'm going to choose the things that work for me in the moment. Like sometimes, sorry, I'm like speaking in one huge run-on sentence.
That's okay. When you talk, you don't have to say the punctuation.
Period. And
okay. Full stop.
Okay. But like lately I've been finding, oh, I've been in these like I've been on these like rigid paths ongoingly for a really long time, yet I work in circles. Like our seasons, for example, work in circular nature. The day is a circular thing. Like the clocks, everything is circles. And when I do yoga, for example, and I'm doing these warrior poses that are very like straight and narrow, I actually want to like undulate and be in the circle and like feel different than what is being told. Long story short, I realized
move her body like a snake, ma. Yeah, that's usually my long story short too.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, the bass just dropped. Bye.
Yeah, like I want to cycle with things, and sometimes different practices are right for the moment and sometimes they're not. Like always kind of taking into account, are you depleted, or are you like nourished and needing like to move energy, or do you need to like gain energy? I don't know. It's just like I even talk in circles. I'm realizing, am I making any sense? Is this a thing?
You do not have to apologize.
Thank you.
I do not accept your apology. Keep that shit.
Right, I take it back.
I don't want it.
Great.
I don't want your sorries.
Great. Okay, well, I'll bring it back around to your question then, which was like, why should people listen to me about not taking people's advice, including
why should people take your advice to not take advice?
Exactly. I think it's really good to learn a bunch of different paths and not necessarily subscribe fully to them, and create your own buffet with the things that work in the moments that they work, and release the things that don't. I hope that made sense.
It did. It was like there were two diverging metaphors there, and I wanted to go with both of them, and I didn't know which one to chase, but even two diverging metaphors, obviously first we have to go with the paths one. So yes, it's really fun to hike on trails that have been marked
But it's also really fun to walk through the woods not on a trail. And there's a really big difference between a deer trail and the path up to Griffith Observatory in Los Feliz in Los Angeles. Those are not the same hike. And do you really want to do the same hike every single day? Do you want to know exactly where you're trying to get to because 1,000 other people went there before, even though maybe that's not actually the hike you're wanting to do because it's actually about the hike and not about where it's going? Which is kind of the thing that everyone sort of seems to miss in our society and maybe all societies. Maybe that's just what our monkey minds do, but it's about the journey. So you might as well enjoy it. And when you get to the buffet, you do not have to eat every single cheese stick. The guy in front of you, he sneezed. He touched the cheese sticks and he put them back. Do you really want his secondhand sneezy ass cheese sticks? No, you're not even eating cheese right now. You're vegan. Stop trying to eat everything at the buffet. It's like there was this trend on YouTube for a while, because I love YouTube, where people were going through drive-thrus at restaurants, usually fast food, and getting up to the window and ordering exactly what the person ahead of them ordered in the car ahead of them. So they were like, just give me everything that they ordered. And then getting the order and then eating it, even if it was things that they didn't like or they didn't know what it was or it was a super huge order or whatever. And that was like a trend that inspired thousands of videos of different people doing this on YouTube. It's kind of like living your whole life like that.
Wait, no.
Yeah. So maybe just like figure shit out for yourself.
Right. And I think, it gets complex because if you don't know where to start, like maybe it is helpful for you to start with like a path that you feel interested in, you know? So it's like this, there isn't an answer. And I think people don't like to hear that. It's like we want these very clean, like cut and dry, do this, not that, because it's easier for our minds. But if we can like actually sink into the fact that like we're choosing to create our life in every moment, and like you get to reinvent yourself over and over again, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you can. And I don't know if this is helpful, because I do feel like people want some simple, easy answers.
People do. People want simple, easy answers. This is super helpful. I just realized that I can record my audio on my phone at the same time and then overlay it if the audio is not super quality like it sort of was last time. Look at that, coming up with all the solutions like we know things, says the girl who didn't even check that her microphone was switched on because she felt fancy for having a microphone in general.
So genius.
Okay, well, yeah. Great. That totally answered the question without answering the question at all, which is kind of the case in point. So like really meta, and I'm sure you did that on purpose subconsciously. You are listening to a bite-sized excerpt of the podcast. Perfect snack time for your mind. For the full episode, subscribe and join the tribe. This episode segment is brought to you by the Witchy Wellness Weekly subscription. That's bit.ly/Witchy Wellness Weekly.